Hello everyone, welcome to my channel FlexPy. So in this video, we are going to discuss about RabbitMQ. So we'll see what is the use of RabbitMQ, what it is, how it works, how we integrate with our applications, why we are studying RabbitMQ. So if you are preparing for system design interviews and trying to get into another company and preparing for product-based company, so for system design rounds, RabbitMQ can be an important topic. It is a part of event-driven architecture. So, when we publish an event, RabbitMQ act as a middleman or a broker for receiving the message and sending the message to the listeners. So there is a producer and a consumer concept which we will discuss in detail. And also in this RabbitMQ tutorial series, we will read how we create a producer and consumer, how we create exchange and topics, how there are two type of RabbitMQ. One is locally hosted and one RabbitMQ which is hosted on cloud server. And in that cloud server, how we create the exchange and topics, how we integrate our application with the producer and listener, the complete flow of the message. So how the message is circulated or sent asynchronously between the applications, we'll see everything in details. So RabbitMQ is like send your message now and listener can process it whenever it wants. So it will temporarily be stored in a queue and listener will listen when they're up. When listener or consumer is down, message will be safe in queue. So RabbitMQ is an open source message broker. So broker means middleman. So it's a middleman for the message transfer. RabbitMQ act as an intermediary between two applications. So one application is a producer, or we also call it as a publisher, which publishes the message, publishes the event, and RabbitMQ takes those messages. It is routed through exchange. It stores them in queue, and from the queue, it publishes or transfer it or gives to the consumer, or we also call as listener or subscriber. So they listens to this queue and they read this message. And when it is very useful for asynchronous and event driven systems or applications where event is the main triggering part of the application. So whenever an event is triggered by one client, RabbitMQ receives those events and keeps them safe in the queue and sends to the consumer. So we can think it as a post office, digital post office. So what is the task of a post office? It takes message from someone and it gives to the correct receiver. So it finds the receiver and sends them when goes to their door and give the message to them. So similarly, RabbitMQ sits between two applications so that they can talk to one another whenever they are ready. So one application sends message when they want to send, whenever an event is triggered. But listener can listen when they want. So that is the task of the RabbitMQ. So RabbitMQ stores them safely and consumer retrieves them whenever they want. So this is a simple diagram of a RabbitMQ where we have receiver. So the producer prays a message and it goes to the QA and QP. So there can be multiple queue and consumer will listen from this queue. So what are the main components of RabbitMQ and how it works? We'll see here. So message first goes to an exchange. Exchange we will discuss how we create an exchange in RabbitMQ. So exchange, what it does, it's decides like the exchange decides where they should be delivered based on the routing rules. So in the exchange we set a routing rules. Based on that routing rules, exchange sends the message to the respective queue. So our publisher or the producer application is connected to a exchange of RabbitMQ. That exchange sends the message to the respective queue using the routing or the binding logic which we will set. So producer sends message, queue stores the message, and consumer process the message. And exchange, what it does, it routes the message to the queue. So these are the main components. So here we can see in the diagram, producer publishes, exchange. Then we have routes, queues, and consumers. He consumes the message. And this middleware is the RabbitMQ. So this is the complete message flow. So suppose this is the message, hello world. So this message flows in this fashion. So whenever consumer is down, the message is not lost. It is stays in queue for long time. And whenever it wants or ready to listen, it listens from here. Exchange types. So we discussed, we connect our publisher application to the exchange of RabbitMQ. We'll have three types of exchange. So, what is this? Like direct exchange, fan out exchange, and topic exchange. So, direct means the routing key name which we have defined, it should exactly match with that. And if we are having a topic we can do the pattern matching for the topics. Like we can have give percentage, star, and whichever a topic matches a pattern, it should be routed. So our application can route to the topic. So this configuration we define, and fan out means we have, he can see here, fan out have multiple queues here. So and the topic has a pattern. Based on a pattern, it will match to the different. And fan out can have n number of queues. So this is the binding logic for three different type of exchange. So this exchange can bind to, so direct, topic, and fan out can bind to these type of queues. So the queues whose names are matching exactly, that is direct, and having similar names, so that can be many. Fan out means it is a broadcast event, so it will broadcast that same message to all the queues. So that is fan out type of exchange. So this is the way of flow to the consumer. So it can be direct, topic, or in a fan out way. Now, now it comes about Cloud AMQP. So Cloud AMQP is the cloud hosted RabbitMQ. So RabbitMQ we can start in our local. So when we are starting in our local, we need to manage exchange and queue locally by ourselves. But Cloud AMQP manages the life cycle for us for exchange and queue, and it keeps it running continuously, and we can monitor it here, how many messages came, how the flow is happening, what is there in the queue. We can have the list of all the exchange and queue. So that is the role of a cloud MQ. So let's see. So fully managed RabbitMQ for AWS is Cloud AMQP. So Cloud AMQ automates the setup, operation, scaling of RabbitMQ server. So these all things we can do in Cloud AMQP, and the platform is built for high availability and performance. So it is a cloud platform, so it will be available. If we are doing it in local, it may not be available all the time. A managed service remove much of the operation burden while keeping message delivery and monitoring in view. So we can monitor and see the message, what all messages has been sent. We'll discuss the diagram. So create PDF. So whenever a PDF is created, it will send an event to the producer. Producer will publish it to the exchange. Exchange will route to the queue, and queue will send the message to the consumer. So let's discuss about event driven architecture. So event driven architecture is a design where services communicate by publishing and reacting to the event. So the client tabs. So web application, we have our web applications. So API gateway. So web application gives some message or communicates to the microservices through API gateway. All these microservices are working on their own. There are independent services. These independent services, some are connected to database, some are connected to Redis, some is connected, one of them is connected to PostgreSQL. This Redis communicates to RabbitMQ. It sends or publishes some message to the RabbitMQ. RabbitMQ again sends the message to the ordering API. So Basket API is acting as a publisher and ordering API is acting as a listener to the RabbitMQ. So this way the whole integration of the RabbitMQ looks in an event-driven architecture applications. So in the microservices architecture. So this is client app, APIs are there, microservices there, and this is connected to the RabbitMQ. So we'll see which all companies are using RabbitMQ in their productions. So Instagram, Mozilla, Pinterest, Slack, Reddit, Shopify, these all companies or big brands are using RabbitMQ for their messaging broker services. Let's discuss about the CloudAMQP. So we'll see how we create a RabbitMQ server and how we create exchange and topics. So I have logged in here to the CloudAMQP platform. So these are the my created instances. So message queue. So this is one email notification instance which I have created here using Little Lemon plan. And this is Amazon Web Services Mumbai region data center. And I can edit here. I can say here if I want to create a new instance, I can create by here, like clicking on this create new instance. We can see this instance also. So I have created one email notification instance here. So this is how instance look like. So we create a new instance from fresh. So click on create new instance. We'll give a name like mm, mobile notification service. So this is there are different plans. We'll go with the free plan. Then we need to select a region, on which region or which data center we want to create. So we'll use Amazon Web Services. Here we have different regions: Sydney, Mumbai, Osaka, Hyderabad, Singapore. We can create in any one of the data center. We'll select Mumbai. It is near to my location. Now let's review this. So it is created. So create instance. Yeah, so it's got created. So this is my new instance of RabbitMQ. I created using LabinMQ here. We'll go back, we'll edit this. We'll delete and create again using RabbitMQ. So we can delete if you don't want to keep it. So it got deleted, we'll create again. Select region, AWS, Mumbai. view. Create instance. Okay, RabbitMQ, we can create only one, so it's not allowing to create a new free services. So we'll go with this existing one, so which I have already created. So once I create a RabbitMQ server, it will look like this. So this is the general details, like when it was created, host name, cluster, reason. And here is the AMQP details. Again, it also supports MQTT. If you want to do MQTT broker and connect some IoT devices using MQTT protocols, we can use this. And this is for APIs, we can use AMQP details. So this is the URL, this is port, password, and host name. So these are all details we need to provide into our Spring Boot applications. Then only we can connect to this RabbitMQ server. So let's go and create exchange and topic. So to create exchange and topic, we'll go to RabbitMQ manager. So in once we land here, we have exchange, queues, and streams. So these are of our main concerns. So we have discussed about exchange. So this is exchange, and here we have queues. So inside exchange tab, we can create one new exchange. So these are the list of the exchange which I have already created. Order.exchange, order.email, order.dispatch. We can create a new exchange here. So we can give some name like email.notification. We can define a type. So type can be fan out, direct, topic. So this we already discussed. So if we are having topic, it means it matches a certain pattern. If it is direct, it matches the exact name of the queue. Fan out means it can route to multiple queues. So it fan out services like there are multiple listeners, so it is like broadcasting event. So all the services will listen, and one will be the broadcaster service. So it is sending message to all available downstream APIs or downstream services. So we'll go with topic. Now we'll click on add exchange. So it is created. Email.notification. We can see email.notification. So this is the exchange which is created. Email.notification. Inside this type is topic. This binding. So there is no binding. So we need to bind this exchange with a queue. So we'll create a queue as well. So we'll create a queue. We'll give a name. Email dot notification. We'll add queue. So order dot email dot queue. Email dot notification. There is a spelling mistake. So this got created. So we'll use this for routing to the exchange. So email dot notification is the routing key. We'll go to exchange. We'll go to email notification. We'll create a binding. Notification dot queue. and routing key will be this. So we'll do binding. We'll see here. We'll create one more. We'll delete this. We'll create one more queue with proper name. We'll give email dot notification dot queue. Add queue. Oh shit, again spelling mistake is there. We'll create or we'll delete this. Or we'll use this only. We'll use email notification.queue. So we'll go to message exchange. We'll go to email notification. We'll give email notification.queue. So this is an email queue just now we created, and this is the routing key for that key. So now the routing is successful. So we can give any name, but for queue we need to give .queue at the end. And before .queue, whatever is their email dot notification, that is the routing key which is used for binding here. So email notification is bounded to the queue, email notification queue. We can unbind here. So in this queue, here we can see that it's running state, and here we can see the messages. Total messages, ready messages, how many are there ready. And we can read the messages also. So here we have already an old queue which has some messages. So this is ready, and here we'll see get message. So what all messages are there. So order 115 created successfully. So this is the payload of one of the other queue. So in this dashboard, we can read the message which is stored in the queue, and it will be stored in the queue until any another listener application listens or takes it. Until there is no listener, then by then the message will be stored in this queue only. And whenever a message is published to the exchange, it sends to this queue, and from this queue listener subspace listens. So we need to give these details into the listener service. So in next video, I'm going to discuss how to create an Spring Boot application and how to connect that Spring Boot application to RabbitMQ, cloud hosted RabbitMQ, which is hosted on CloudAMQP. And I'll create one more Spring Boot application which listens to this queue and uses that message or gets the message from the RabbitMQ. So we'll do configuration with RabbitMQ and receive or read the message. So one sender and receiver application will develop in next video. So we'll see. See you next time. Thank you.